I'll put the link in the description box. But Labor, if they win the election in May, for those people who don't know, our Labor Party is the left-wing party in Australia. They've pledged to quadruple the funding to the UN High Commission for Refugees, plus increase the sponsored places for refugees in Australia to enable more refugees to come in. Now, Australia is at 25 million. 2/3 of our country is useless desert, as many of you know. We're already way overcrowded. We've got a population growth that we weren't expected to get to for another 20 years. We've got there mostly because of the influx of immigrants and migrants from South Sudan and Somalia, which of course as a result of that has been a massive increase in crime in my state by around 40 to 50%. Home invasions, rapes, bashings, robberies, you name it. Oh, but of course that doesn't matter. We'll just quadruple the funding to the criminals in the UN and increase our immigration intake from more war-torn countries. And we haven't even got the infrastructure to support who we've got here already. But that's fine, Just destroy our country, that's fine. What you need to understand before voting this May in the election is that if Bill Shorten gets in, he will definitely sign the Global Migration Pact. You're forced to take the amount that the UN chooses that they want your country to take in. They choose the country in which they come in also, and you're forced. It's legally binding, and that's it, you're forced. You've got no choice. So really, there is no need, if Australia signs this Global Migration Pact, there's no need for an immigration minister or a home affairs minister. Because what's the point? I'm sick to death of the UN telling me what I can say, what I can't say, who's allowed to come into my country, who can't. I'm sick to death of these unelected asshole bureaucrats living off Nazi money from World War II telling countries how to conduct themselves. The UN are a bunch of criminals and they need to be destroyed. It's an absolute disgrace. Now, they're in the death throes. That's why they've sped this up to the final phase. But the UN Global Migration Pact is really the last phase to bringing in full one world government, because if the UN controls your immigration, who comes in and out, lately they've said in documents that migration is a human right. So they're basically saying that anyone, without being checked, without being vetted, without being checked that they respect your country or that they want to destroy your country or that they want to immigrate or anything, migration is a human right. So basically, anyone can come in and out of any country. So there goes borders and there goes countries. So world government's complete. I think that any leader of any country who has signed or is going to sign the UN Global Migration Pact should be charged with treason, because that's what it is. What is treason? Giving up control of your country to a foreign power. That's what treason is. And that's what the UN Global Migration Pact is. It's treason. On to my last part of this video, which is the police stand down of African gang crimes in Melbourne. Poor man just driving along in his vehicle in the middle of the city, King Street, Melbourne, got pulled out of his car and bashed senselessly with a pole by African youths in a gang, and now he's probably going to die. Since the immigration influx of Somalians and people from South Sudan into my city, violent crime has at least gone up 50%, at least in the past 12 months. And people are in fear for their lives. Home invasions, rapes, robberies, assaults, you name it, just out of control. And it's got to the stage where the guy in the bottle shop down the road from where I live, he got a panic button installed in his shop because the African youths would just come in, take all the booze they wanted to take, and just walk out. The first time he pressed the panic button, cops came within 10 minutes because they're just down the road. And then the second time took about half an hour. And then the third time it took them about an hour to come, so it was pointless. And they said, oh, we'd like you to remove the panic button. Cops are scared and they've been told to stand down. As you know, citizens in Australia are defenceless because they don't have any guns. So it's great, isn't it? Australia's ground zero for the globalist cabal. The Labor Party wins this May, and the Labor Party signs the globalist migration pact, and on top of that, they vow to increase immigration, and on top of that, they vow to increase the funding of the High Commission of Refugees. Australia now currently gives 25 million. They want to increase that for 100 million a year. When our farmers in Queensland and southern New South Wales, they're committing suicide and their cattle are dying and they can't get sweet fuck all from the government. Well, that's just great, isn't it? That's just great. So please don't vote the Labor Party in May and stop Australia from being absolutely doomed and destroyed. That is all.